Sudarshan, I'm starting all these interviews with the same question. I know you have perspectives on this. So what is your definition of smart manufacturing? And more importantly, how do you describe a smart manufacturing mindset?
Okay, that's a good question. Actually, smart manufacturing should be defined that fits your mission. There is no definition for smart manufacturing, but to simply define it in non-technical terms, it's about how to make informed decisions from end to end using data. So that's the whole purpose of that smart manufacturing. And if you want to take out smartness in that, it's basically taking the digital technologies and digitalization of not only product, process, and resources, but also the business process, so end to end, so that you can make informed decision based on actual data coming from the system.
So the common theme I've been hearing so far is around having data, and like you said, to make informed decision. But I do like the spin you put on it where you talk about how smart manufacturing needs to fit your particular mission. Smart manufacturing at Factory A isn't necessarily going to be the same thing as it is at Enterprise B, for example. So I have to ask you, since you're the SESME liaison from the Department of Energy, can you shed some light then on how an organization like SESME works with the federal government? Because this is going to be a perspective that I think you'll be able to share most uniquely.
Yes. The reason that we set up these kind of institutes is to create innovation ecosystem. That's why we created it as public-private partnership. So the government funds something and then the private also puts some money, not all cash, but cost share. So before getting into the actual operations, how it is done and what is the mission that we are trying to get,
Sure.
Going back to your previous question, I want to touch on one thing. So digitalization and how it fits your organization. So there are four focus of smart manufacturing. Product focus, meaning how you want to produce your product right the first time. So you are producing quality products right the first time, meaning you are reducing waste. So because of that, you are increasing your productivity, labor productivity, everything. The second one is process focus. How are you optimizing processes for everything, starting from material, water, energy, everything, and all the assets that you have for manufacturing, the product realization, the machines, machine tools and everything, how are you optimizing that?
Okay.
And the third is the resource, that how do you connect water, energy and material and increase the productivity of that. And then finally, you have to bring in at the supply chain level. So this is why, as you exactly said, an Enterprise A, how they implement and deploy smart manufacturing will be different from Enterprise B. So going to your second question again, how DOE has started this, supposed to be modeled after Fraunhofer Institutes in Germany. So the idea is to create innovation ecosystem, not only for large players, but small, medium enterprises. Nearly 95% of suppliers to OEMs or SMEs. So the SMEs play an important role. If you don't take tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 suppliers along with you in the digital journey, OEMs cannot do that.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. In second thing we are looking at, because we are Department of Energy, we are looking at energy as one of the important factor for reducing energy cost and indirectly reducing emissions because you're using less energy. So in all of that, we have not touched yet is how to bring in people along. The skills development, education, curriculum development, training the trainers. So these are the type of things that we need to look. In fact, if you look at that mobile thing here, it's basically to train, take the training where the people are. So that is another important thing. So my role at DOE to work with them is to make sure that they are taking the right decisions, both at the technical level and also the operational level, and making sure that they are creating innovations, not just having some projects. That's important,
right.
But you have to create some technology along with that.
So what I heard, you talk about an innovation ecosystem, and it's not like we're creating this out of thin air. Germany's already done something like this. So I feel like that's looking at it from a broader perspective than from the Department of Energy perspective. You do look specifically at energy. But what I thought was a nice common thread between the two is then you say, how do you bring people along for this? Because whether you're focused on an energy initiative or whether you're focused on creating that innovation ecosystem, you need to have people along for that ride. So I guess I have a follow-up question to that then. How does the Department of Energy go about creating manufacturing institutes like SESME? And then maybe what have the outcomes been so far? Some of the tangible outcomes you've seen in the mission that you just stated.
Yeah, so we are a funding agency, so we are technology people. What we do is to get the stakeholders' input. What is that they are worried about? What are the top priorities for them? Collect all the inputs, and then we synthesize it from our own experience. And then based on that workshop, what is that we need to prioritize, how much money we need to do, who are the players. What we call funding opportunity announcement, we issue that. And then there is a two-stage process to that. One is called concept paper, because putting a big application takes a lot of effort and time and money. So we do a concept paper, which is around 8-10 pages, to get an idea what is that you have, what is the new novel approach you have. Are they really serious about this? So based on that evaluation, the full application is done. Then we'll do external reviewers, and then we sit down and then see what are the different pros and cons, and then we call them for interview and then see what finally we select an entity to run this organization.
Okay.
So we fund 14 million cash every year for 5 years, and then they have to show the cost share. So the innovation ecosystem that you mentioned comes because we are bringing academic professors, community colleges, industry experts, and also our DOE labs to come together to solve not a company A problem, we are talking about industry-wide problem that can be reused and replicated so that we can use it many times and scale it. So that is the essence of this institute, how these institutes are established, managed, and we also do a lot of course correction in the middle. You know, things are not working the way we think, because the technology doesn't stand still, it keeps moving. So we need to evolve with that. So we have some adjustment. We develop roadmaps, technology roadmaps with the industry. We also develop a lot of R&D projects in terms of request for proposal we issue. We also do these kind of shows to get input from a lot of people.
So I have another question, because I understand there is a cybersecurity equivalent of SESME as well. And I can't hear anyone talk about smart manufacturing and digital transformation today without talking about cybersecurity. So are these groups working hand in hand, for example?
So SESME is there for 5.5 years, almost 6 years now. In fact, they got renewed just recently. Simon is maybe 2.5 years now. They are in the budget period 3. So they started developing some technology. So we have a close collaboration because I manage both the institute. I have the common theme between them. So here is how I explain it in simple terms. Smart manufacturing requires cybersecurity. Without that, you cannot implement smart manufacturing.
Yep.
And if you are not implementing smart manufacturing, cybersecurity may not be a major focus for you. So that's why it's really, really important these two guys come together. And that is the reason you can see they are here. Both of them are here.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I would hope more companies that, even if smart manufacturing isn't a priority, are starting to prioritize cybersecurity. Are you doing anything to make sure that becomes more of a focus for folks, that even if they aren't going through their transformation now, they are focused on that? Because that seems pretty essential in the manufacturing world.
Definitely. And in fact, you are touching on a very important point. IT security has been there for some time.
Yeah.
You know, we have different practices, different technologies. But when you come to operational technology, cybersecurity, we are talking about sensors, compressors, controllers, actuators, machines. So these, if somebody tampers into that, the consequences are very high. So not only IP theft in terms of product data, but they can also tamper and sabotage. So one of the biggest problem with them is they can change the spindle speed, for example, without nobody noticing it. Or they can do ransomware attack. So in fact, we have seen many cases where they took over the entire operational technology side of things and they shut it down. So they could not run their operations. So this is a bread and butter issue. It's not like you need it. It's a necessity. Without that you cannot. So one of the important things is if you're connecting every machines on the internet and digitalizing everything, the digital information is going back and forth. Imagine the amount of tampering that somebody can do.
Yeah.
So that's why cybersecurity, without cybersecurity, smart manufacturing will not be able to. Automation, industrial control systems require heavy cybersecurity.
Sudarshan, I've got one last question here at the end of our conversation, and that's around what are the outcomes that we've seen so far through SESME, and then what do you hope to see in the next 3 to 5 years?
So the outcomes so far, they have done some very successful R&D projects to showcase their technology. Imagine they started from scratch.
Yeah.
And starting from scratch and setting up the institute and showcasing technology takes time. So mostly it will take 8 to 10 years to actually get the technology to the industry. So we are trying to reduce that time through doing some R&D projects, creating prototypes, showcasing that. So SESME has done some important projects in that area in cement manufacturing. Cement is an 150-year-old technology. So one of the biggest problems in cement is almost a 2-meter wide clinker production kiln. So nobody has touched it and then understood that what kind of technologies we can bring in. So they created new sensor technologies and then understood the entire process more carefully. So that when the clinker comes out, the quality of the clinker is really, really good. So they reduce the energy footprint of that. They increase the process chemistry of it. So that is one example. The other one is steel industry. Continuous casting is one of the biggest thing, but the clogging of continuous casting, they have to shut it down. So right now the prediction capability is not that great. So now with the new technology, they could predict before it happens. As you asked, what impact we want to see in the next 5 years, we want to see this clogging never happens. So how do we make sure we can bring in the controls to make not only predict that it is going to happen, but ensure it doesn't happen.
Okay.
So this is one example. So the impact should be of that nature, where industry can take it and run with it.
Yeah.
They can create new technologies. Smart people can come together and create spin-offs. Now imagine there are around 3,000 kilns. If they implement in each of these and scale it, you can see this business case for that. A small company can actually create a couple of $1 million turnover industry in a short time. So these are the kind of impacts we want to make. But more than that, as you mentioned previously, if you don't bring in people along, we cannot do that. So we need to have the training, curriculum. We have funding to some university to develop a curriculum for smart manufacturing in Purdue University. They created a BS course in smart manufacturing. We have worked with the community colleges to hands-on training for smart manufacturing. So this mobile thing for cyber security we created. So they take it to the students, high school level. So these are the type of things that we want to see impact. And more impactful thing is they should stand on their own, create different revenue models, and make this as a center of excellence for US. Not like, they continues to depend on the government, but run with it, make it big, scale it up. And if anybody wants to understand smart manufacturing and cybersecurity, they can just walk into these two institutes and get the knowledge base. So that's the kind of impact we want to make.
Well, what I liked what you had to share was you get the ball rolling. You talked about this example for continuous casting in the steel industry You want to get to a point where you eliminate the clogging that occurs in that process altogether. But you're not there to take every single kiln to that state. You're here to get the best practices going, get smart people in industry working together, and then get them to run with it to scale it.
Yes.
Loved learning about the process that you're doing here. Really cool to hear how the Department of Energy is engaged with groups like SESME, Simani. Appreciate having you on, Sudarshan. Thanks so much for the background today.
Chris. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Happy to have you. Cheers.
Thank you.